Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Psych Mom Show. I have a special treat today. This is Suzanna Mathews. She works at Best Life at my practice, Best Life Behavioral Health, and she's awesome. And I'm going to let her talk about herself. But last year, I was just saying this to her. It just came up in my Facebook memories that a year ago today, we were offering the Tantra workshop with Susanna. And then today, we're going to be talking about Tantra. This was so random. So, anyway, Susanna, tell me a little bit about you and who you work with, and then we'll talk about the Tantra stuff after, but just you and like who you work with.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. So I'm a dating and relationship coach. I have a background in communication and matchmaking. I love to work with couples, either one half of the couple, just an individual, or both partners who are usually either in one of two places in life. They've either experienced some distress and some challenge and some disconnection in their relationship, and they're looking to make repair and gain some additional tools and skills to kind of up level the relationship and bring them back into connection and back into sort of healthy functioning. And then another category of people that I work with are those that are maybe kind of leaning out of the relationship and feeling the movement in a new and different direction and just looking for some support about how to consciously uncouple and move into that next chapter of life solo.
Yeah, those are obviously very necessary. We work with so many relationship issues, obviously, in my practice
Mhm.
because I talk so much about relationships. And I see like so many people, they're like, they want somebody to advise them almost like before they make a life-changing decision. They want to like make sure that they've thought about everything and that it isn't just their own stuff that's like poisoning the well. Like, is that what you see?
100%. Like, I think if they were to put a fine point to it, they'd say, "Tell me if I'm crazy," but, and then they sort of share what their experience is and what they're thinking and feeling about that. And they just often want that gut check of like, am I misperceiving things here, or is this sort of lining up with reality? And then if so, what should I or could I do about it?
Yeah, and I see a lot of women at midlife in
Mhm.
this stage, and obviously that's a big moment is when you're like deciding what to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is a life change, especially if children are kind of growing or grown. And so there's like a different purpose defining our lives as mothers and women that shifts a bit. And that's when we typically kind of reconsider the who am I? What do I want? What do I have to offer in the world? And rethinking those answers to
Yeah, and
that.
the midlife women are good for you to work with, although you've also worked with a lot of men, I think
Mhm.
they like you. You're so soothing. You're like the opposite of me and my voice. You're so calm. Oh my
Good to
God.
have
Yeah,
contrast.
it's good to have contrast. If somebody had to listen to either me or you, I'd pick you, like for sure.
I've
Anything.
got a lot of maternal energy. There's that nurturing thing that's very real.
So bringing it back to what we're talking about, I see a lot of couples whose sex life is trash, and that contributes to them,
Yeah.
wanting, not knowing if this is the right thing, is this the right person, am I in the right relationship? Because what I see is like they got along when the sex was in the honeymoon stage because it was like driven by, biology. And then after
Mhm.
that, on the technical side or the like the real sex like that, as an activity that comes after that rush is like not doing it for one or both, you know?
Right. And I wish people would kind of allow themselves the grace to, hey, just because something worked for me in the past doesn't mean it has to always work for me forever and ever.
Yeah.
And like it's okay to just say, well, okay, maybe I was great at this when I was 25, and now that I'm 50, I could maybe up level my game a little bit if you want to call it that. Maybe you can teach an old dog new tricks, and it's okay to admit that, what was once a strength for us, there's a little bit of room for improvement now.
Yeah, 100%. So then what is, because when people say tantric sex, it sounds like, like you're going to be in the 70s on a water bed and you're going to be like doing the wheelbarrow or something. Like
Wow.
there's a visual. So like what like and I know from like a glance over at your slides when you had offered this group that that is not what tantra
No.
is. And I did ask Susanna how to pronounce that immediately before this call. So what is tantra? What is that?
Yeah, I'm really glad you kind of brought up that misnomer. That is sort of the misperception of what Tantra is. This is not big group orgies on the living room floor, although if that's your thing, no judgment. But but I do want to kind of discern between classical Tantra, which is a spiritual philosophy from the East, and Neo Tantra, which means new Tantra and tends to focus on sexuality and how sensuality and spirituality are sort of conjoined. So draw, and I promise I won't get into a long, boring lecture about the history and development, but within the wider field of Tantra, desire is honored as an energy of creation. It is not shamed. It is not exiled. It is very much valued as part of the divine energy of generation, life force energy. And there's also a view of the body, the physical body, as sacred and as a vessel of awareness. Like we can come to new awarenesses by being embodied, by having somatic experiences.
This
So
is
the
the
practice,
opposite of being in your phone all day. So it's
this is
like
the,
kind of
yeah,
an
you don't
ideal
need this for Tantra. Yeah. So we do energy work, we use mantras, we use meditations, we use breath work, and that is all part of the path of liberation, which is the ultimate goal of Tantra. It's not necessarily an orgasm, although orgasms can be so, so liberating. But the ultimate outcome is love and liberation.
That's nice. That
Yeah.
seems very female positive as well.
It's very masculine positive and feminine positive. And of course, understanding that masculine and feminine are present in all of us. You know, I possess both qualities, you possess both qualities, and we can kind of
We
flow. And
established, so you're more feminine. No, I'm kidding. Just the voices.
it's where I
Keep
default. It's
going
my
back to that
factory setting.
joke.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I just didn't have my coffee yet. I'm gonna be all
That's
over
okay.
it, but
Cheers to that.
I'm trying. I'm trying to focus. Okay,
Yes.
so but I guess why I said that is a lot of men think if they bring their wife in to talk
Mhm.
about the sex life, it's gonna be like somehow unfriendly to her. It's gonna be
Mhm.
porny. It's gonna be like she is not going to engage in these conversations. It's going to be something about what position they should use.
Right.
And then the woman would not want to engage. I know I wouldn't want to engage. I call that porn montage sex, where the guy goes from this
Mhm.
position to that position to the aforementioned wheelbarrow. It's like,
Yeah. I imagine I'm not a man, and I would actually love to ask this question of men, but I am guessing that that sort of porn informed style of sexuality is maybe coming. It's happening in the bedroom because he feels like it's going to please her, or he hopes it does, because he saw that play
yeah,
out on the
he
screen
saw the
somewhere.
woman screaming as she got impaled. Meanwhile,
Yeah, yeah,
she is getting paid to act this way.
yeah.
Uh,
So this tantra is really it's something that I feel can take us into each other's hearts at a deeper level, and that is what a woman wants,
yeah.
right? So you had used the word, I can't remember what you said, but you said technique or technical or something to that effect. And that's really what the word tantra means is technique.
Really?
It's a technique of expansion. And as opposed to being really, no offense to Western psychology, which is very intellectual, it's very much in the cognitive mind. Tantra is very body based. It's very somatic. So we are using breath, we are using awareness to enhance intimacy.
So what would like so let's say people started to understand Tantra better, maybe they even booked with you to come in to talk about Tantra, then how would
Mhm.
you think like how would sex look? It goes slower, right? I
Yeah.
mean like just like it's almost like explain like I'm five, like from Reddit. So
Sure, happy to. Yeah, this is such a yummy conversation. So we're looking more for sensitivity as opposed to just sensation. If you think about sensations, that's very genital focused, and we're not leaving genital pleasure out of this, but sensation is about what's happening in the genitals right now. Sensitivity is about all that and what's happening in the heart right now. So being really attuned to your partner, to every little movement and breath and sigh and muscle relaxation, really like dialing in and focusing in on that. Within this space, your partner can be a mirror to you. Your partner can mirror back whatever it is you're experiencing, thinking, and feeling. And this is where I think how exciting to be a man. As men, you're holding the container for this, you're controlling this and leading this a lot. And when she feels that safety to relax and just sort of be seen, a lot of wounds can come up. And if she's feeling that, oh, this is a safe place for those wounds to emerge and sort of be cleared, she's going to keep showing up that way in that space.
Yeah, that sounds really connecting. It sounds like it would be much longer of an
Mhm,
encounter where you
mhm,
really need to focus
mhm.
versus like these people tell me that they do this like lube up, have sex thing. The whole thing is like 5 minutes, and then the woman,
Ah,
I know, and then the woman doesn't want to do it, and I'm like, who would?
no
What? Like,
wonder.
why
She
would you
just
want to
checked
do
a chore off her list, by the way,
literally,
gentlemen.
like there's no understanding of her need for arousal, at all. Because the
Right.
man's arousal arc can be very quick, he thinks that she's going to be, and of course men can extend that as well, and many
Mhm,
want to, but like it's kind of a vicious cycle because if all of their encounters are very quick and then orgasm based, he comes, then she brings out the vibrator and then they're done,
mhm,
and then say an hour, say la vie, it's done, it is
mhm.
what it is, and maybe in 2 weeks, and this is like, but this is real, and it's very, when she feels that she's done with him in any other way, she's annoyed with him, this and that shit comes back up. Our sex life has been shit for like 15 years,
Yeah.
like because it has gotten like that.
It's true. And I often see, and this is quite detrimental to a relationship, when a woman is feeling disempowered in a lot of the different areas of her life, she often starts to feel that sexuality is the only thing she gets to control. So by God, you're not going to get it. Like I am holding out, I'm holding back. We are not going to have sex because I'm unhappy in these 20 other ways. And until you start to give a shit about those 20 other ways, I'm holding sex over here hostage. Do you
Yeah,
do you
she'll
do
only do
you
that if
hear
she
that?
hates sex, though.
Well, she or the type of sex she's been having just
Yeah,
hasn't been
yeah, yeah, that is
authentically
for sure.
motivating to her.
So I think So I think it's like two, it's probably obviously everything's infinity, different reasons, but
Hmm.
two main ones. When the women are younger, like under
Hmm.
perimenopause,
Hmm.
they are mad if they're not having like really good sex and whatever. If they're older and they themselves are not as into it anymore, then they think that they are doing it because they love him. And then if he doesn't
Hmm.
act like he loves her, well, then
Hmm.
why the hell are they doing it? I have a podcast. Why would you get laid if you're not loving?
Oh,
So, it's
that.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's like and the thing that you said, I have a podcast. If you are arrogant, often the only way your wife can assert herself is not having sex with you.
Yeah.
If you're so much of a steamroller and every other, she feels she has no opinions, no nothing, the only thing she could do, you're not going to rape her, so that she's
Yeah.
just going to say no, you know?
That's
And
her power.
and so, yeah, and what you're saying is basically what Tantra does is you're also working on the relationship while you're in bed as well. So there is no Tantra without the emotional piece.
There is no, yeah, there is no, that, thank you. That was a great summarization. Tantra is all systems. It's bodily, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's mental. So maybe this would be a good point in which to kind of like dive into some specific techniques that couples could use if they want to take baby steps into this field. So a really good sort of beginner practice, and I've had some of my couples do this. You can do it at any age or life stage, is to do some eye gazing. And so so a couple would sit facing each other, either kind of crisscross applesauce with their legs or with her legs kind of hooked over his. So they're kind of like wrapping around him, taking some slow, deep breaths, noticing if the breath starts to synchronize. So oftentimes one person is leading the breath and then the other person falls into the same mirroring breathing pattern. And then you're kind of gazing into each other's eyes. And men, if you really want to deepen this, you can put one hand on her heart, the other hand behind her on her back, the opposite of where her heart would be in her chest. And as you breathe and as you eye gaze, she starts to feel really held and be held. Sometimes this is where emotion comes up for women because this is maybe the only moment in that day or week or month where we feel really seen and really vulnerable. And that holding, that breathing, that eye gazing is an invitation to kind of let our armor down, that armor that we are maybe carrying into our work life and trying to get things done and be productive. And so it's nervous system regulating. That regulation communicates safety. It communicates attunement. It invites her to sort of de-armor and release her tension. And wouldn't you rather make love to a relaxed woman as opposed to an armored woman, right? So you could think about that as foreplay if you want to. There's nothing genital happening, but that is deep emotional spiritual foreplay.
Yeah, it sounds really nice. It sounds like something so many couples don't make eye contact. Do you notice that? Like they're just so bitter and so
Mhm.
disconnected that like they will only make eye contact from like across the room, but as they get close, like as they kiss goodbye in the morning, they close their eyes or they avert their eye, the kiss like that, they hug, they look away. They don't look closely at each other even at all
Hmm. It's
when they're
true.
connected.
Yeah, I think that's a valid observation.
Can I
Another
just
tip.
make a part? Wait, before you move
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
I already know what how this could be misused is that
Mm.
the man says you got to be naked to do this eye thing. You
Oh,
don't, correct?
you don't. I mean, it's fun if you are. I'm not gonna lie.
You don't have to be naked to do the eye.
Not at all. You can be fully clothed, you can be partially clothed, you can be buck naked, you can be whatever
Yeah,
manner
a
of.
lot of this stuff comes up, by the way. It sounds stupid, but if women are cold and exposed, I say this all the
Mhm.
time, they're not going to do it. So they might think this thing sounds nice and loving, but if they can't keep on their t-shirt, to
Mhm.
start, they're not going
Yeah.
to do it, and then they don't get the nice held experience because a lot of guys also, these guys make these stupid jokes that I'm always like, why do you make stupid jokes? So you're like cutting off your nose to spite your face there with the stupid jokes, or that's probably the wrong analogy, but cutting your dick off because you're not gonna have sex if you make the stupid joke. You're just not, right? So I could see somebody as soon as the boobs come out, some guys make literally a hunk. I can. I just want to die when they tell me this. I'm like, you are killing yourself. How can I help you? So
That little boy inside is going, boobies.
yes,
Ah.
yes, and it ruins it. So I think that first of all, the tantra is good because it's serious. Like, you're not supposed to be joking around while you're doing. I mean, right? You're just not supposed
Well,
to.
I mean, it can become
You're gonna say
playful,
it
and
can
it
be
often
playful.
does
I know you're gonna
become
say it could be
playful. Yeah.
playful, but like I'm vetoing for the guys. If your wife has ever said to you, "Why do you make dumb jokes?" Stop making dumb jokes. You're not as funny as you think. This is why I don't talk to you. This is why we don't have sex. If she's ever said any of those lines, just literally stop joking around. And you don't understand playful. Then that man doesn't. He doesn't get to play. That it is
Well,
serious.
you could resist the temptation to honk the boobs the
Yes,
first few times,
or stare at the boobs. You're supposed to be staring at the eyes. That's why I like it too. You're supposed to be
Mhm.
staring at the eyes, which a
Yeah.
lot of women say, like, look at me in the eyes, not at my body.
Well, and here's the thing, like it's not that that's all off limits, but this is the portal. If you want total and complete access, body, mind, and spirit to your woman, your lover, this is where you start. I am opening the door for you here, and it's
Yeah,
here
yeah, it's
to
there.
open all the other doors,
Yeah,
right? It
only the doors
starts
can be
here.
closed if the woman does not feel seen, is what you're saying.
Yeah, safe, sensual, seen.
Sexual scene. All right, good.
Yeah,
Now,
kind of a
after I
cartoon.
did that little course correction for some of the boob honkers and the ones with the thermostat, I say the thermostat set at cheap bastard, where they have the
Oh, yeah.
thermostat set at 65 and she will like never take her clothes off.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got to make it a nice warm room. She could leave her clothes on
Right.
to start
Light
if
the
she
fire,
wants.
light the
Light the
candles. Yeah.
fire. Yeah, you think in terms of these erotic
The
ways. I'm doing
weighted
like
blanket. That's a good
yeah,
addition
weighted
to this
blanket.
moment.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
good. So we got that. What's that called? Eye gazing?
We did the eye gazing with the
Eye gazing.
I call it sacred touch, heart space touch, and synchronized breathing. So that's kind of one practice, and you could use just any one of those components solo, or you can combine them all together. So another practice that can really be soothing and synchronizing and attuning for her or him is exploring massage a little bit. We think of massage as like, get in there, get the muscles, work out those knots. Like it's more like an athletic kind of a massage that we're accustomed to. So there are a lot of different types of touch that can be so beautiful and sensual and may or may not lead to sex. Just allow this to be a standalone practice. So that could be, I'm just going to kind of use my hand here to demonstrate. You could use kind of a light fingernail scraping, just slowly kind of running your fingernails over the body. You could use almost like a raindrop kind of a tapping, just sort of like little droplets. You could use more of a, like, you know how a cat will knead the furniture or knead your lap before it sits down? So you're like a cat kind of kneading the space. And then you can also use the warmth of your breath over your lover's body. Mixing that up and just kind of covering the body again with no pressure for penetration as of yet. Really allows her nervous system to be calm or his nervous system to be calm. Allows a couple to be really anchored in their hearts. Again, the connection is the focus, not the genital stimulation. If you feel, and you use words, communicate here, if you feel like, okay, this is really melting us and we're really merging here, do we want to move it into using that kind of touch genitally? Communicate about that. Would it feel good to you if I did that on your, finish that sentence? Okay.
A lot of guys can't say stuff like they feel like they can't say stuff like that. So this is good practice for being
Mhm.
more assertive and more
Mhm.
a little bit more dominant in the bedroom, which a lot of women
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the things that's so important in Neo Tantra is consent and communication. There's, if anyone ever attends like a workshop or a seminar, half of it will probably be dedicated to how to communicate your yeses and your nos. And if there's a change from a yes to a no, how to communicate that update, because it's very boundary conscious, this practice is.
So then it feels safer to the woman to get involved in it. All the kink, I know this isn't kink, but all the
Mhm.
lifestyle kink stuff is super
Mhm.
consent focused. Like
Mhm.
always updating, is this okay? Now is this okay? And
Yeah.
to a lot of women though that are midlife or older, I know for myself, like the idea of being asked, do you want this? Sometimes is a little off-putting, possibly not in this scenario where it's like part of the whole vibe. But like,
Mhm.
at the end of the night, if the guy says, "Can I kiss you?" A lot
Mhm.
of us are like, "Why don't you just lean in for the kiss?" But then the younger generation is like, "You have to be yes, otherwise the guy is pushing himself." It's very different, right?
I've noticed that as well, and that it does seem to follow kind of a generational preference or generational trend. Gen Xers are like, just feel the moment, and if you're
Yes.
feeling the vibe, then kiss me.
Read the room.
And yeah, the younger generation has grown up with the Me Too movement, and consent is very explicit and step by step.
Very. It's things I don't like literally like I'll have like the most socially anxious client in their 20s and they've still had like a boundary conversation around choking with their boyfriend girlfriend. I'm like, what is the order of operations? Like this is somebody who can barely speak, but like it's
Mhm.
been inculcated that they have to have certain conversations, which is better, there's less misunderstanding then.
Yeah. I err on the side of over communicating rather than under communicating. And anything that feels uncomfortable to you, just consider that that has been culturally conditioned into you. And you are capable of updating your programming anytime you wish. So if you're in the category of like, oh, it feels awkward or uncomfortable or weird to literally communicate these words, get over it. Like relationships are about skills, right? And sometimes we're not just hatched out of an egg with all the relationship skills we need. Your opportunity in life might be to improve your
Did you watch Four
communication.
Seasons with Steve Carell?
I have
Oh,
not.
you have to. The one of the couples, it's like obvious they've been to couples therapy. So like they'll like stop and they'll be like basically right now I'm feeling and it's like they're so obviously trying to communicate. It's a great show. I mean,
Yes.
and yes, you're right. Like I work with this with couples all the time,
Mhm.
or like guys who say that they are not comfortable giving compliments. I'm like, that's because you never got a compliment growing up and now we fix it. Now we change.
Yeah.
Or women that never initiate sex, like never. I'm like, well, it was just told to you that girls don't do that, and now you could change. So it's you're always a work in progress. So yeah, it would be very nice for people to be able to communicate what they like or they don't like, and that's actually part of sunset focus, the sex therapy technique.
Yeah,
You're
it
always
is.
supposed to be saying what you like, what you don't like, because otherwise people get like 10 years down the road and they're like, I never liked that thing you did.
Right, right.
Literally.
And the language can be kind. I think a lot of people get tripped up because they think if they give feedback, it's going to be poorly received. The
Mhm.
language can be, ooh, that feels really good. Keep doing that or do that more. Or, hey, would you be willing to go back to doing the thing you were just doing? Or, hey, could I try something with you? How does that feel? Right? And then it's just really about attuning sensually.
People need a certain level of open-mindedness, though, to receive feedback because I have talked to some women who try to influence what their guy does for foreplay, and literally he's like, no. He says, no, I won't. Or like, that isn't good, or you don't really like that, or something. So, like, if you're working with somebody with more,
Hmm.
closed-minded, rigid, like,
Hmm.
this is more for people who want to grow and be more open, right?
Yeah, I would say that a partner who is rigid in the bedroom is probably rigid in all the places, like they are rigid in
100%.
life. And
100%.
this is would be challenging for them. It doesn't mean they couldn't benefit or grow in some way. In fact, maybe the point of entry for them is understanding that all this talk about freedom and liberation, it requires incredible discipline. So we don't just get to kind of like, oh, we party all the time and anything goes and chaos reigns. The neo-tantric practice is a practice for extremely disciplined people. It requires energetic discipline, emotional discipline, physical discipline, and mental discipline. And if you're not up for the discipline, this may not be for you. Now, men usually have an innate relationship with discipline because they've either done sports or they've done something in business that required a lot of discipline, or they go to the gym and they're working out. So men get discipline. And that's
Yeah,
usually
they
where
like,
we
I
can,
mean, women obviously have discipline too. You got to raise the kids. You can't kill them. Meanwhile, it's a lot of
yeah,
discipline.
yeah, you got to pay bills. Yes, but
You got to work. You got to show up, do all this.
got to
But
do the
yeah,
thing.
men like that rhetoric a lot more. Women
Hmm.
like the feeling rhetoric, and men like the idea of you show up, you get
Yeah,
there, you
you just do it. You don't
grind, you
complain. Yeah.
grind.
Who is
Yeah,
that
men like
guy that, oh, the Dave Goggins
yes,
perspective, right?
yes, yes. All of these ones that guys like is like you show up, you grind, you this, you that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's like women look a little bit askance at that. It's not like they like more the idea of like with practice comes growth.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
whenever you talk about your children or like would you just expect your child to know what to do without you telling them? Well, then why should your husband? Then somebody will be like, because he's not a fucking child. But listen, like we gotta use an analogy. And so with women, growth, evolution, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, and lovingly and respectfully, the correction I would offer, or the perspective rather, is actually he is, and so are you. We all are children in some way,
For
shape, or
sure.
form, right? We all
Yeah.
contain that little girl or that little boy inside of us who maybe doesn't
Needs to
know.
be reparented.
Yeah, who doesn't know the operating manual on you, or maybe only read the first 20 pages and didn't get to the last 30. So, really giving our partners the grace to still have that wounded little boy or little girl that
Yeah.
maybe has a disappointed expectation or wasn't totally loved in the way that they hoped or needed. We still carry that.
Yeah, for sure. So wait, we did which ones? We did eye gazing.
We did eye gazing and we talked about sacred touch or the different kinds of
Yes,
massage.
sacred touch.
Yeah,
Let's do
I
one
think
more
that
for
so as to not make it super complicated, the last thing that's maybe worth mentioning would be to talk about energy direction. So sometimes when we feel that sort of build of energy that's like the prelude to orgasm, we can get excited and be like, "Ooh, okay, I'm off to the races now," right? Like it's like a galloping horse that just kind of wants to run away. But notice if you can harness that horse a little bit and direct the energy maybe into certain parts of your body, or notice if you can allow it to rise and then you can kind of pull it back and let it fall back down. And this is how some tantric or neo-tantric practitioners have gained a reputation for being like multi-orgasmic or infinitely
yes, the
orgasmic.
multi-orgasmic man. I give that to
Yes,
my male clients to read, the
yes,
multi-orgasmic man.
yeah, good
When men
recommendation.
don't have to have an orgasm, and I have like a podcast, benefits of not having an orgasm in every encounter for men, then they
Mhm.
really think they're superheroes. I don't recommend for the narcissists. But really, because they feel like always when you're young, like it's getting away from you, it's getting away from you, the premature
Mhm.
ejaculation. And then if men are able to more get conscious of that, where that's going, and to bring it back down, like by the way, a
Mhm.
lot of them do with masturbation. I'll make that analogy a lot, and they're like almost like, oh, how could that be the same? I'm like, how could it not be the same, right? You could have like a 3 hour long masturbation session, not that I recommend being literally just doing that all day, but like you could, but then why can't you do that otherwise?
Everything's within the realm of possibility, and just because something doesn't happen the first time, the way you read about it in a book or heard about it on a podcast, doesn't mean don't keep coming back and exploring and trying.
Yeah.
Some women and men too can become orgasmic through other parts of the body that we've never associated with orgasm. A person's head can actually be quite an erogenous area. Energy orgasms. I think the book might talk about that.
The erotic blueprints, the energetic
Oh,
blueprints.
yes. Yeah.
I'm sure you're that, but just
I'm the total shapeshifter. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fun
that's the one
recommendation.
I call that weird one when I talk to
It's like
clients. I'm
all the
like,
things, everything in the kitchen sink. What erotic type are you not?
but
Yeah.
that's really good for the ones who are the sexual blueprints. Speaking of those blueprints, the people that are just genital focused, just
Mhm.
literally are the booby guys aroused by a naked body, those are the guys, and especially they always end up coupled with the sensual women.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
God likes a joke, right? So
Mhm.
they end up completely different. And this is what could really bridge that gap between
Mhm.
the sexual, who needs to focus less on the genitals of the naked body, and the sensual, who would then feel like finally they're getting maybe what they want out of the encounter. Like all the encounters were just orgasm based with their partner, just about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's wise, and I'm wondering if you kind of connect the dots and kind of cross-pollinate here between attachment style and how that shows up in the bedroom and maybe in their erotic types. Do
Well,
you
I mean,
kind of?
I think that the sensual women are the preoccupied, right? And the avoidant. I mean,
Um,
I do see so much of the set of the sexual blueprint in the avoidant guys, because then it's not
mhm.
about the relationship at all. It's just about fucking, you know?
Very categorized and yeah.
Is that what about fearful avoidant? They're the shapeshifter. They're like, please love me. I'm gonna do everything.
Lovingly, I identify.
But
Yeah.
the
No.
avoidant really does just like sex, you know? I mean, it's not what they just like. Obviously, on a deep level, they want to connect, but they find
Yeah.
it very hard. So, an avoidant partner doing this could probably be pretty transformational for the dynamic, you know, for them learning to like do the more somatic, spiritual side of sex instead of just literally the orgasm.
Right. And recognizing, no matter if we're 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever age or life stage we are very much a product of our familial conditioning, our religious conditioning, our cultural conditioning, whatever the inputs were for decades. And those have entrained us as to how
Yeah.
to be sexual, how to be female, how to be male, how to be sexual beings. It can be unlearned, but it's unlikely to be unlearned overnight in a one-time eye gazing session or reading one book.
Yeah, yeah. People need to really commit to kind of the process of growth and having a healthier relationship and having a sex life that they don't hate, you know? I
Hmm.
mean, it's a whole journey, you know?
Sex is such glue. I really look at it as a protection of the investment because when sex is healthy and loving and abundant and something desirable to keep coming back for, it protects a couple around a lot of those arguments and those areas of conflict where, I think Gottman says there's going to be like 10% of things that we don't agree on in any given relationship. We're going to have 10 areas of just sort of mutual disagreement throughout the lifetime. Well, how do we kind of keep moving forward together? We have good sex.
You know that he was divorced twice before he met that woman?
I do know that.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. I
I
do
mean,
too. I do
I
too.
was divorced. You were divorced, right?
Yep. Twice as
Yeah.
well. Hmm.
Twice as well. I
Hmm.
mean, wait till him and her get divorced, then it'll be you on the docket for Gavin. No, but the point is, I guess, if somebody's been through something, like if you haven't been through any difficulty in your relationship, then why would you really even learn this stuff? You know, like it's the people who want to learn this stuff have been through the difficult childhood, seen difficult marriages growing up, then usually had similar patterns in their first relationships and then try to figure it out. Like, how can I make this better and not so terrible?
Yeah. The sexual vulnerability can either lead or follow the emotional vulnerability. So what we
Lead
tend to
is
do with
one
our
that people
bodies.
have problems with.
Say that again. Sorry.
Leading, sorry, I just interrupt.
Oh, that's
Leading is what people have trouble with. Like when it's like, I agree with you, and a lot of people say, no, there's no way that you have to have the emotional closeness before the sexual closeness. And it's just not true. Those
not
things are
true.
bi-directional.
They great word. They are bi-directional, and it's a little bit of a myth and a misnomer. I think we defend ourselves with and we hide behind by saying, "Oh, I need to feel this way in order to have sex." Actually, sex could be exactly the portal to feel that way.
Yeah, it's like with CBT. You can intervene at any moment. It could be at
Hmm.
the cognition, at the
Hmm.
feeling, or at the behavior. And I
Hmm.
have these really cerebral people who are like, well, we got to fix my cognitions before I can change my behavior because then somehow if I fix my cognition, magically my behavior going to change. Like, how long you been trying that? 20 years in therapy? Like, what about we just literally try the behavior before, while you're scared,
Yeah.
before you believe in it? Because why would you
Yeah.
believe in something that didn't work? Let's just change the behavior, see what happens, you know?
Well, the mind is brilliant at lying and misdirecting, right?
For
And the
real.
ego's job is to guard us from those changes. It's fear-based. It's going to protect us from any of those attempts. So, yeah.
And it's like when people do have sex, then the atmosphere can change. Unless it's
Mhm.
like terrible sex, which is what you're saying is like, why don't we work on having a more connected, real experience where you're bringing emotions into it as well?
Mhm.
How could that not change things outside the bedroom, right? Like,
How
how
could it
not?
not? Yeah, there is a ripple out effect, a domino effect for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So Susanna here is able to work with adults, couples, and individuals virtually.
Hmm.
And she's a
Hmm.
coach and she's awesome. And I will link to, just to look at her on my page
Hmm.
and on, on the Best Life page. Thank you so much, Susanna. This was super awesome. And
My
before we
pleasure.
go, just because, I want everybody to know. Your other thing that you're really good at is helping single people with dating, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Both from the sort of doing the internal work as well as sort of the more like external and superficial strategy and methods, both online and off.
Yeah, when I was hiring you and I spoke to your one of your references, she was like, "Oh, Susanna got me married," and she was so real. She was like, "I was kind of like a cold bitch," and then Susanna was like, "Is this really working for you?" And I was like, "No." It was hilarious. It was like I was definitely gonna hire you after that. And
Oh,
she's
that's
like, "So
awesome.
now I'm gonna get married."
I love hearing that. That makes me so happy.
Super genuine. And she was like, like my profile just came out there, like really, like, I wish she was like, I was like cold and masculine and bitchy. And she was like talking, there was like stuff going on in the background. It was like super genuine. So I was like, oh, great. Like, if, somebody's literally saying that, then you would be the person to go through the dating profile and to be like, no, you're coming off terrible. And like, how many women say that they cannot date online? And I'm like, there's so many men dating online.
Yeah.
How? Like, that's not like a man deficit problem. Unless you're like in the middle of Montana. I don't know. There's like no, there's only horses. But like, seriously, if you're in any city, I mean, they get divorced. They're getting divorced,
All the
like
time.
there's a whole wave of them all the time coming out.
Hmm.
And men love to be in relationships. That's the truth. They get
Hmm.
married quicker. They get remarried more and quicker than women do.
They do. Yeah. It's not a matter of like not enough inventory. It's honestly just sort of a skill gap. And I think a lot of men and women both just don't realize if you're having a negative experience online, it's nothing personal. It's just sort of a skill deficit. And so I teach about dating resilience, which is a big piece of the equation here. And
I'm gonna get you on
just
again to talk about dating. Let's just
yeah. Okay. We'll park that. That's for another
I'm
day.
gonna get you back on. I'm so tired of talking to myself on these podcasts. I really just need to get more people on. Okay,
Yeah.
so this was awesome. Everybody's gonna link to Susanna, and thank you so much for coming.
My
Bye.
pleasure. Thank you.